Our top story now, 8 former officers of the Indian Navy have been handed the death penalty in Qatar following allegations of spying for Israel. Calling the judgment shocking, the Foreign Ministry said it would not comment much on the case given the confidential nature of the proceedings, but assured that it would contest the case. Let's go across to Vishnu now for more on this. And Vishnu, many of these former officers are decorated officers who commanded major Indian warships. Give us more details and what are India's options?
Well, India doesn't have all that many options because an appeal for India to Qatar would be a level, perhaps from the level of the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister's office, the Foreign Minister to the Emir of Qatar. That is certainly one option. The Emir of Qatar does retain the right to actually pardon these 7 officers and 1 sailor, have them back over here. But the allegations are extremely serious. They've been accused of spying for Israel. They were part of a training program for the Qatar Navy. They were employed by a company called Dara, which is an Oman company. It was actually set up by one of those who was in custody. They have been in isolation now for more than 9 months, is what we've been told, confined detention. At one stage when this all broke out and the allegations were made, they were told they needed to leave the country. They had packed and were about to leave, but then they were put back into confinement. India has consular and diplomatic access to them and is looking at whatever legal options there are which may be available. But at this stage, the families who were hoping to have them back for Diwali are absolutely stunned by what has happened. The death sentence has been pronounced for these 7 Indian officers and 1 sailor, all of them, as you mentioned, Gargi, extremely distinguished in their careers in the Indian Navy.
Right. And Vishnu, if we look at this through the prism of what's happening right now between Israel and Gaza, and the fact that they were accused of spying for Israel, how do we, is there any connection can we draw between the two?
Well, I'm not sure we can make a direct inference to that, but the timing of this comes when Qatar is very heavily involved in the process of the release or potential release of hostages in Gaza on the one hand. On the other hand, there is no love lost in the past between Qatar and Israel. They've had a very difficult relationship in the past, but at a time when there was a sense of a rapprochement building between Israel and the Arab world, there was a hope that perhaps Qatar would be a part of that in the truest sense of the term. But right now, the Arab world is very definitely pitted against Israel. India, very, very closely associated with Israel, which is our strategic partner. Of course, we do have very close relations with the Palestinian people. That has been a historic link. But at a time when India is seen by many to be a very close aid of Israel, a close partner, comes this particular verdict. It's come as a shock. Those were words used by the government, which is now trying to really work to get these men released.
All right, Vishnu, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. The Lok Sabha Ethics Committee has called Trinamool MP Mahua Moitra on the 31st of October in connection with the cash for query allegations against her. Today, they heard testimonies from her former friend Dehadrai and BJP MP Nishikant Dubey. BJP MP Vinod Sonkar, who is the head of the panel, has said the committee will seek help from the Home and IT ministries.
अभी कमेटी ने तय किया है कि महुआ मित्रा को बुलाया जाए, वो अपने पक्ष में कहा जाए, आगे जो कमेटी तय करेगी उस हिसाब से निर्णय लेगा।
Lok Sabha Ethics Committee summoning Mahua Moitra on the 31st of October at 11:30 a.m. The committee, led by Vinod Sonkar, is probing the cash for query charge against the TMC MP. The 15-member committee, which began its probe today, first recorded the statements of lawyer Anant Dehadrai and BJP MP Nishikant Dubey. It all begins with this letter of BJP MP Nishikant Dubey to Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, in which he levelled cash for query allegations against Mahua Moitra. His complaint was based on a letter by Supreme Court lawyer Anant Dehadrai. Dehadrai spoke for almost an hour, giving his statement before the committee.
जो भी मेरे से पूछा गया था वो मैंने सच कमेटी के सामने मैंने पेश कर दिया। कोई डिस्प्यूट नहीं हो रहा था। सब जितने भी मेंबर्स थे उन्होंने मेरे से बहुत अच्छे से और कॉर्डियली मेरे से सवाल पूछे। जो कुछ भी मेरे से पूछा गया उसका मैंने आंसर दे दिया।
मेरे सामने सभी नॉर्मल थे और सबों ने बहुत ही सम्मान और प्यार से प्रश्न पूछे और सभी प्रश्नों के जवाब अच्छे से दिए। उन्होंने कहा कि यदि आवश्यकता पड़ेगी तो आपको बुलाएंगे तो हम लोग जाएंगे। सवाल ये है कि चोर महुआ है या नहीं है, चोर कौन है नहीं है, मैं तो स्पेसिफिक नाम लेके कर रहा हूँ कि चोर महुआ है या नहीं है, उसका फैसला एथिक्स कमेटी करेगी।
The Ethics Committee is looking at 4 main issues. Do Mahua actions amount to contempt of House? Is Mahua guilty of breach of privilege? Do Mahua's acts amount to criminal offence under 120A of IPC? And is there evidence that Mahua took cash to ask questions?
According to sources, allegations against Mahua are very serious in nature. The final report is likely to be submitted to the Speaker as soon as possible. Sources also say that many members quoted the Pawan Bansal Committee of 2005, which submitted its report in the cash for query scam in just a matter of 2 weeks.
The Ethics Committee will also write to the IT Minister as well as the Home Ministry. On Tuesday, Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnav wrote to Nishikant Dubey over the alleged sharing of her parliamentary login by Mahua. He said the National Information Centre, which cooperate with the Parliamentary Ethics Committee, is investigating the matter.
कमेटी ने निर्णय लिया है, इसमें आईटी मंत्रालय और गृह मंत्रालय को चिट्ठी भेज के उनका विवरण भी उपलब्ध कराने का निर्देश कमेटी को दिया है।
Mahua Moitra faces charges of taking bribes to ask questions in Parliament. She is accused of asking questions on the behest of businessman Darshan Hiranandani. He allegedly gave Mahua rupees 2 crore in 2021 to ask questions defaming Prime Minister Modi as well as the Adani Group. It was found that the 61 questions Mahua asked, 50 were related to Hiranandani's interests. Mahua is also accused of sharing her user ID and password of her Lok Sabha account with Hiranandani. This is a breach of parliamentary privileges. Meanwhile, TMC has distanced itself from Mahua Moitra. Amid this massive row, a usually very vocal Mamata Banerjee remained silent. At her first press interaction after Bijoy Dashmi, she refused to speak out in support of Mahua and didn't take any questions from the press either. With Mario Shakil, Prashant and Saurabh Gupta, Usama Shah for NDTV.
Now look at the Israel-Hamas war and India's careful stance on the conflict. Initially, Prime Minister Modi had said India stands firmly with Israel and condemns all forms of terror. Later, India's statement at the UN said India has always supported a negotiated two-state solution and a viable state of Palestine. Neeta explains why India is treading cautiously on Hamas.
The latest statement of American President Joe Biden that Middle East European Economic Corridor is the main reason why Hamas attacked Israel, and also the statement given by the Israeli ambassador to India that it's now time that India should declare Hamas as a terrorist organization. Can these both statements be seen as that India is now being coerced to declare Hamas as a terrorist organizations? People here in New Delhi, however, feel that India has been soft pedaling on this issue diplomatically. In fact, India has tweaked their stand and they now say that although the attack is a terrorist act, but they have not said that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Behind this, there are two reasons. One is economic and second is domestic compulsions. Economic because India is heavily invested in Saudi world. Many Indians are also working there, and also OIC members are about 56 countries are there, out of which 46 are Muslim countries, Muslim dominated countries. All these countries for now are standing with Palestine. Not only that, oil also plays a main role because India has been importing oil from Russia and Arab world, and both these nations have criticized Israel as far as this conflict or this war goes. So economically, India has been soft pedaling this issue, and even domestically also, because there have been reports that the kind of protests that we have seen in Egypt, in Jordan, that might spill out here also in India also, because people in Kashmir are minutely watching as to what is unfolding in Gaza Strip and what is happening there, human tragedy, what is unfolding there. So keeping that in mind, there was a high level meeting there, considering that, there were inputs that some kind of a street protest might take place in Kashmir Valley. After 2019, street protests have, almost become nil as far as Kashmir Valley is concerned. But as far as the inputs are concerned, there were inputs that people might come out on the street having some kind of a sympathy with Palestine. So keeping that in mind, a new security matrix was thought of and has been worked out by security agencies in Jammu and Kashmir. So, government sources clearly claim that both economically and domestically, India is soft pedaling on this issue as far as declaring Hamas a terrorist organization is concerned. In New Delhi, this is Neeta Sharma reporting for NDTV.
Now, Israel carried out targeted raids overnight in northern Gaza using tanks, but on the U.S. request has not launched its expected ground invasion of Gaza, but says the raid was preparation for the next stages. The Hamas-run health ministry, meanwhile, says 7,000 people have been killed since Israel airstrikes began, and Hamas says almost 50 Israeli hostages have been killed since the strikes began.
Pictures of Israeli tanks rolling into Gaza. This is not a full-fledged ground invasion, but another quick raid to strike at terrorist cells, destroy missile launch posts, and get more information about hostages.
כל אנשי החמאס הם בני מוות. מעל האדמה, מתחת לאדמה, בתוך עזה, מחוץ לעזה.
Standing strong.
American President Joe Biden says that one of the reasons for the Hamas attack may have been efforts to integrate Israel in the region, linking it to the India-Middle East-Europe corridor. The agreement was signed during G20 in Delhi by India, US, European Union, France, Germany, Italy, Saudi Arab and UAE.
I'm convinced one of the reasons Hamas attacked when they did, I have no proof of this, just my instinct tells me, is because of the progress we were making towards regional integration for Israel and regional integration overall. And we can't leave that work behind.
Meanwhile, with Israel continuing airstrikes in Gaza, the situation is dire. Israel is against sending any fuel as aid into Gaza, as they say it will be used for launching more rockets into Israel. But WHO says without fuel, patients in hospitals have no chance of survival.
If there is no fuel, then babies in incubators who need that life support will simply die. And many more people will suffer. People who are on dialysis for renal problems will basically lose any chances to survive in a longer term.
Hamas claims that more than 6,500 Gazans have been killed in Israeli air attacks, but now there are questions on these claims. Moreover, while the ground offensive seems imminent, Israel seems to be holding off for now. In Delhi, Kadambini Sharma for NDTV.
And some market news. The Sensex tanked for the sixth day on the trot, is already down more than 6% from the peak of 15th September. How much more to go given the stellar record of performance between Navratri and Dhanteras? Sakshi reports.
Investors have lost over 15 lakh crore rupees in just 6 days. Markets have been declining consistently, and today the Sensex has plunged 900 points and ended at 63,148, while the Nifty has declined 264 points and ended at 18,857. So why then has the Sensex crashed over 3,000 points in just 6 trading sessions? And why have markets witnessed the longest losing streak in 7 months? Also, why is the world witnessing a broad-based sell-off across global markets and not just Indian markets? Now experts tell NDTV that fears of the Israel-Hamas war widening dominate sentiment at the moment. Remember, the Israel-Hamas war is now in its 20th day, and analysts believe the consistent rise in crude oil prices is worrisome. Remember, rising oil rates will also add to inflationary pressures for India, as India imports over 80% of its crude oil needs. Experts also believe rising US bond yields means higher return for investors, and therefore the FII sell-off is also deepening at the moment.
In the US, at least 16 people were killed in a mass shootings that took place at a restaurant and a bowling alley in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday night. An intensive manhunt is underway for a suspect, Robert Card, and police are asking residents to shelter in place.
Chaos after a gunman went berserk, killing over 20 people at multiple locations in Lewiston, Maine's second largest city. People were seen running out after the gunman went on a shooting spree at a bar and a bowling alley.
Out of nowhere, he just came in and there was a loud pop. thought it was a balloon. I had my back turned to the door. And as soon as I turned and saw it was not a balloon, he was holding a weapon, I just booked it down the lane, and I slid basically into where the pins are and climbed up in the machine and was on top of the machines for about 10 minutes until the cops got there.
Police have named a Robert Card, a firearms instructor, as a person of interest in the shootings. Sources say he was in Army Reserve and was committed to a mental health facility for 2 weeks this year.
We have literally hundreds of police officers working around the state of Maine to investigate this case.
America has seen several mass shootings in the past 2 decades. In 2017, over 60 were killed in Las Vegas. In 2016, 49 were killed at an Orlando nightclub. In 2007, 32 were killed at Virginia Tech. In 2012, 27 children and teachers were killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School. So far, this year, there have been over 560 mass shootings. Despite this, a very strong gun lobby has meant over-the-counter sale of weapons is easy. In Delhi, Kadambini Sharma for NDTV.
There was ED action today in 2 opposition-ruled states. The Enforcement Directorate raided the state Congress President of Rajasthan, Govind Singh Dostara, and summoned Chief Minister Gehlot's son, Vaibhav, in a 12-year-old FEMA case. In Bengal, the ED raided a state minister. Both chief ministers hit out.
With an election less than a month away, the ED went for the jugular, hitting Ashok Gehlot where it hurts. The ED also raided the home of State Congress President Govind Singh Dostara and summoned Gehlot's son, Vaibhav, in a 12-year-old FEMA case. Also under the scanner, Om Prakash Hudla, an independent MLA, recently given a Congress ticket.
अब गुंडागिरी ही है ऊपर के दबाव के बगैर ना ईडी आ सकती है ना सीबीआई ना इनकम टैक्स आ सकती है जहाँ चुनाव होते हैं वहाँ जाके ईडी छापे डालती है चुनाव हम जीतते हैं तो आप सोच सकते हैं इसका मतलब क्या हुआ सवाल पीसीसी प्रेसिडेंट का नहीं है सवाल मेरे सन का नहीं है सवाल है कि पूरे देश के अंदर आतंक मचा रखा
ये मामला तो 12 साल पहले 13 साल पहले भी यही आरोप लगाए गए थे तब भी हम लोगों ने इसका जवाब दे दिया देश की जनता समझती है कि क्यों चुनाव में जब आचार संहिता हो गई तभी इनको याद क्यों आ रही है
The BJP on the other hand wants to make the paper leak scam an election issue.
लेकिन अब जनता काट की हांडी बार-बार नहीं छेड़ती इसलिए गारंटी किसी की है तो मोदी जी ने जो कहा वो करके दिखाया जनता को विश्वास है भाजपा और आदरणीय मोदी जी के ऊपर
It's become a high-stakes political battle in Rajasthan, with the Congress calling it a witch hunt and the BJP saying, if you've got nothing to hide, then why are you afraid of investigating agencies?
Ashok Gehlot found support from Mamata Banerjee.
किसी को बोलने का मौका है तो उनको जाके ईडी रेड करा देता है
With central agency raids in 2 opposition-ruled states, Mamata Banerjee trained her guns on the BJP after the ED raided the home of senior TMC minister Jyotipriya Malik in connection with an alleged ration distribution scam.
Every day they are disturbing my minister's house, their wives, their family members. Forget my family members. Even puja time also they are not spared. Same thing they are asking. Send the paper before 42 years ago. अरे भाई तब तो अभिषेक जन्म ही नहीं लिया. So is it the malafide intention or not? आज जब राजस्थान में इलेक्शन है पॉलिटिकली फाइट करो.
हम इस विषय पर नजर रख रहे हैं पूरा पार्टी देख रही है हम चाहते हैं कि इसका सही इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो और जो अपराधी है वो पकड़ा जाए.
A more than 12-hour-long search at the home of senior Trinamool Congress Minister Jyotipriya Malik. The Trinamool Congress, right from the top, starting from Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, claims this is political vendetta and the central agencies are acting at the behest of the BJP, while the BJP backs the action of these agencies, saying they are simply doing their job. But beyond the investigation in these cases of alleged corruption, what seems to have gained center stage is the politics over the action of central agencies. With camera person GD Shankar in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.